like a picture on the wall. And now I know how to steer, I'm not afraid if I should fall, yeah. It took some tears, oh, but together we were strong. And now I feel a burning beat inside my heart. And I feel alive for the first time.
Welcome back to Pursuing Profit with Principles. So glad to have you join us today, wherever you are in the world and whenever you're watching this. I am delighted today to bring you my guest. She and I were talking yesterday, and I told her that she's just adorable. I absolutely fell in love with her when we first met recently, and we have so much in common, and I'm just so excited to bring her to you and all that she brings to the world. So first I'm going to say, welcome, Monica, and then I'm going to tell them all about you. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you. Can I come more often?
Absolutely. I would love it. So let me tell you about Monica Bozanov. Did I say that right? Woohoo! So Monica specializes in the inner game of money. And if you're like me, you know that there is an inner game of money, right? There are some things that get in our way in that conversation about money. So Monica started with her own mess. And as she started her business a decade ago, she tried the money mindset thing only to find herself doing mental gymnastics. I can relate to that. And when she finally understood the money body connection and how money blocks are only a symptom, not the problem, that's when her business changed. The inner game of money is about diagnosing and resolving the underlying root cause, not just the surface issue. Let's face it, as she says, it's never about the money. Oh, so true. Welcome, Monica. So glad to have you today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah.
This is wonderful because, and as we go through, I'll relate a little my own story in this, and so why this really impacts me. So that the work that you're doing is so important. But let's first let folks figure out a little bit about who you are. We want them to discover who you are. So will you tell us a bit about that journey, what brought you here, why you're doing this, and who you serve?
I ask myself all the time, why am I doing this? And the answer is always the same. I can't not do this.
I hear you. That's so true. So important. Yes.
Yeah. Because you know a little bit about my story, right? So I found myself 20 years ago. I found myself in what is still referred to in my family today as Monica's big breakdown. and I remember my mom saying, Monica, you will never be the same again, because I was burnt out and depressed, right?
Right.
And you don't talk back to your mom, right?
You just don't.
You just don't. But on the inside, I was going, of course, I will never go back to being the same. That would just be stupid.
Yeah, because then I'd wind up right here again, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the good thing about being like finding yourself on the floor in 1,000 pieces is that you can kind of put the pieces back together, right?
Right.
But them back together right this time. So I knew I needed to do that. I just did not know the how.
Right.
And I got this book about kind of getting your health back using natural methods. And I started reading that. And I found something called heart coherence, which is all about using gratitude to impact your heart. And then your heart will send positive messages back to your brain.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, I can actually, because I had these heart palpitations every night.
Oh my.
And that changed. And I learned to do that just in a few minutes. And then I kind of, if that's possible, wonder what more is possible, right? So I went down the rabbit hole and I fixed all of these like emotional issues and physical issues that I had. And then I was all like, yay, I need to tell the world, right? Nobody knows about this. Only to fail like massively. And just once again, the shame and that self-blaming.
Right.
I should have done better. Why couldn't I do this? And I realized I had massive blocks to standing up, being seen, being heard, using my voice, earning, charging, all of that, right?
Right.
Because I was so used to being in the background. My parents are, they're salt of the earth people. You do not toot your own horn and you always help the underdog.
Right.
And I mean, that sounds like the right thing to do, but it's exhausting.
Yes.
So I needed to take a new look at who am I and what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. And the funny thing is that, right, when you start doing that, looking inside, your strengths and your weaknesses are often the same thing.
Yes. Two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
So because I felt like I must be kind of crazy because I'm so like I'm so going against myself all the time. Like I love being on stage.
Right.
And then whenever I was on stage afterward, I was like, please just hide me in a cave somewhere and just bring me books and never have me talk to anyone ever again, please.
Yeah, I totally can relate to that. I always say I love doing the dog and pony show, but then I'm ready for my me time. Back to my room.
And then when I learned why I was kind of wired that way, that the cave woman actually somehow supports, the being on star,
yes,
being
yes.
on the stage and being the star, right? Then things started making sense. And I had to take a deep look inside, and also the money thing. I thought it was me. It was very much inherited stuff, intergenerational, epigenetic stuff that I had never questioned. So I needed to do all of that work. And then when I came back out, because I stopped everything for I think 2 years with my business.
Wow. Yeah.
I hardly did a thing.
Yeah.
And then when I started again and came out there, and now, when you've done your own work and then you start listening to people and you go, oh, I'm not the only one with that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was, once again, so now I love working with entrepreneurs because I love working with people that are ambitious and that want to go big, right? And if you want to go tall, if you want to go high, like I have a background in construction, the taller you want to build,
I love that.
the more solid the foundation needs to be.
Right.
And I think that is kind of the big illusion in the industry that you and I are a part of, that everyone is telling everyone, just aim high because that's fun. And you can have like really cool copy and headlines about 10xing stuff, right?
Right.
But you need to have the foundation, or else it will just crumble, right?
Yes. And it's not going to be fun to be in that crumbling building.
No.
And the higher you go, the deeper the foundation has to be.
Yes. And stronger.
And stronger.
And broader, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Think of the hierarchy of needs. So self-actualization is the peak.
Yes.
And there's like the bottom, which
Yes.
is as long as you don't eat and you don't have clothes on your body and a roof over your head, you're not going to be thinking about self-actualization.
Yes, exactly.
And so often as entrepreneurs, we start looking for that, the summit.
Yes, the pinnacle. Yes.
Yeah. And we can't figure out what's wrong, right? But there's an anatomy to this. There's a structure that needs to be followed.
Yes. Very good. So who are some of the folks, how would you describe the folks that you work with? Who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is, you meet them all the time. Those really smart people that have, they know their stuff. And they've invested good money in building their business. And they seem to be doing everything right. And the feeling on the inside is, I should have been so much further by now.
Yeah.
And it's painful. And it's not, they're skilled, they're hardworking, they're motivated. And very often they have been in the situation where they did invest, didn't get the result. And now they're even being blamed and shamed by the people they hired.
Yes.
And we need to stop the blame and the shame game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of beneath us by now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. Tell me, if you will, Monica, what's the greatest challenge that you face in your business? You've just described challenges that others face. And one of the things that I always like our listeners and viewers to think about is that every stage of business has its own challenges. And every time you overcome one, you create a new challenge. What are your challenges right now in business?
Right.
What's your greatest challenge?
Like in this very moment, so to speak, converting in a Zoom room, talking to a group.
Got it.
Because I've been doing one-on-ones, like always, when I did back in the day, I don't do webinars anymore. I only do like workshops, and because people need to do the work to understand it.
Yes.
But then what's new to me now is having a group.
Right. Instead of the one-on-ones.
Instead of the one-on-one conversations.
Right.
And that's kind of, it's a good problem to have. It's something I need to learn. It's something I need to accomplish right now.
Yeah, that's really good. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Why we go from doing those one-on-ones to doing the group coaching or the group events. Doesn't have to be group coaching necessarily, but unless you have a really high ticket item that you're selling, your business is not scalable in the one-on-ones because there's only so many hours of you every week. Yeah. So you can only serve a limited number of clients. When you move into that group setting, now you're able to serve a lot more clients.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's because high-end coaching is extremely valuable for the kind of people that can do that, right?
Right.
And then for me, like my work is my heart's work. It's my story, right?
Yeah.
And I do want to serve the people that have the same pain that I was living for so long.
Right.
And to be able to do that, I need to do it group-wise.
Right.
And also, I believe in the value of, I said we need to stop the blame and the shame game. I believe in the synergy of the group to create the culture, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That it's okay what you, and I see this like just yesterday with my group program, and then one person has this big aha, and then I see everyone else in the room go, "Mm." And I ask, can you relate to this? And they go, yeah.
Yeah.
And it would have taken them longer to figure that out if we were doing one-on-one.
One-on-one. Last week I sat in on a workshop that you did, and you'll have to tell us the name. I've forgotten the name of the workshop.
Unleash the power of outrageous money goals.
Yes, that was it. She got me with that title, folks. But the interesting thing was that you had one person, a volunteer, if you will, who, and we're going to talk about the process here in a moment, but who chose to go through your process for doing this. And the rest of us were along for the ride. We were doing the same things that that person was doing. And what was interesting for me was an issue came up for me as you were setting the stage for her. An issue came up for me that I thought was finished already. And so I went through that process for that issue myself and got some further peace, I guess would be the way to say that, some further relief or peace from that issue that I really thought I was over.
And if you remember, that also happened for another person in the room, right?
Yeah.
Well, she had a very strong reaction to the one person that we were doing the work with, that we were all like, okay, let's hold the space for this person.
Right.
And one person had a very strong reaction. Can you remember that?
No, not offhand. Remind me.
Yeah. She was like, she was sending signals on. Yeah.
Okay.
So so she was very clear. Like, she didn't say anything, but she was like, with her hands, she was communicating with the rest of the group, and you could see there was like, that was not like just being upset, that was rage.
Right.
And when we had done one person's work, then this person, she said, I just realized. And a whole lot of stuff came out. So she had an insight, because she did take a look at her own response to that person's stuff, right? Yeah. And now things came up for her, and she said, it looked as if it came out of thin air. So that's the power when we do this stuff together. Yeah,
it is very powerful. There's a term I like for that is one-on-one coaching in a group setting.
Yes.
And I think that's a powerful piece, and we do get so much more out of it when we're working with everyone else, when we have that group setting. On your LinkedIn page, you have, as underneath your name, it says, double your prices in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think this is a good transition for us to talk about how you're getting these results. What is it that you're doing for people? Because we haven't really told them what you do yet. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we need to see money blocks. Like when most people talk about money blocks, it's like some fluff. It's like weather. It can be anything, right?
Yeah.
So we just talk about money blocks. It's like, we have weather in Sweden today.
Yeah, right.
Like, it doesn't make you any wiser, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't add any value.
So we need to take a look at as I said, the anatomy of money blocks. So there's actually a system to it, and money blocks isn't primarily a mindset issue.
Right.
It's located in the nervous system.
Right.
So they are mostly like from here and down.
Right.
So I use tapping. And then my knowledge of the what I call the energy body, like how we are wired,
Right.
And then we tap on the nervous system. So basically, like the place I always start is what I call, what is known as family paradigm. It's everything we learned in our family before the age of 6.
Yes. Which is, for me, where the money blocks originated.
Yeah,
Yes,
for all of us.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, many people know about this from reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Right.
But it's actually like a physical component.
Yeah.
And that's why the tapping is so valuable, because the subconscious or the unconscious, or whatever word you use, is really bad with words. But it
Yes.
does understand pictures.
Right.
And memories.
Mm-hmm.
And emotions.
Yes.
So that's where we always start. And that's the big mistake that most money coaches do. They start with abundance. That's one level up. So if you don't do the survival and the belonging and the identity first.
So again, we have that Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a hierarchy. So you need to do the survival, and like, look around you, how many people, like the bigger part of the Western world today, we all are somewhere in the middle class, right?
Right.
And still we're struggling.
Yes.
Living hand to mouth. Why?
Right.
Because the foundation for so many of us is still like depression identity back from 30s, like 100 years old.
Right.
Like I had. And if you think of it, we now know, we learned with the Vietnam veterans, we learned that that trauma travels, PTSD travels 3 generations. We now have new science indicating 7 generations.
Wow, did not know that.
And trauma has an epigenetic effect on our body.
Right. Describe for us what epigenetics is, if you will, please. I'm sure there are folks in our audience that aren't familiar with that term.
Yeah. So DNA is kind of the blueprint of our, right? And we don't have that many genes. But they can be turned on and they can be turned off due to like different experience, like famine. We know that if a generation goes through famine, then the women that are pregnant, their children tend to, like, they have an epigenetic effect that makes them gain weight more easily.
Ah, got it. Okay.
It's like the famine turned that switch on.
Right.
And that's epigenetics.
Okay.
So most of us have like 99.9% of our genes are great. Like I think less than 10% of all cancer is genetic. It's lifestyle, environment, emotional stuff. It's how we think. Like it's the environment that we create for the body and ourselves. And it's the same with success, with happiness. Tapping was designed to be helpful to people with severe PTSD and phobias. So it's meant to transform people.
Right.
And now so many of us see that we can use that process not just to heal something that's off, that used to be traumatic. We can also use it for peak performance, for increasing our capabilities.
Right. Agreed. And in my life, I've used it both ways, but I've probably used it more to help when there's a trauma of some kind, or I'm not functioning the way that I feel I should be functioning. When my husband passed back in 2014, that was one of the things I had gone to the gal that I worked with who did tapping, I had gone to her before he had passed away while we were going through things, and just to help me be able to handle everything. And then saw her again afterwards, and then saw her again when I remarried.
Yeah.
But I had seen her before that, relative to my business or to other things going on in my life. And so, yeah, I have a real testimony, if you will, of the value of tapping, otherwise known as EFT or emotional freedom technique. Isn't that correct? Yeah, it's a powerful tool.
It is.
To help people.
It is.
Yeah.
And I say, like, tapping is, it's a tool in itself, right? Because why we start tapping, adrenaline and cortisol automatically just drops in your bloodstream. So it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
It's also a craft.
Yes.
Because as you do that, you start learning how to use it.
Right.
And then I would say it's also an art.
Yes. I would agree with all three of those.
When you combine it with knowledge about how we are wired.
Right.
And what's really going on underneath the surface.
Yes.
You can make these switches so fast.
And we will have you back again, okay? We'll have you back and share more, and maybe we could do a tapping session while we're on air next time. I was hoping we could get to that today a little bit, but we just don't have the time. So thank you again, Monica, for being with us and sharing this amazing work that you do.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we thank you for joining us. We hope you'll come back again next time, and we'll see you here on Pursuing Profit with Principles. Bye for now.
And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have, to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
yeah, if you think you're going to do it in your own strength, then you know what? Yeah, you can do it.
COVID, it's been helping people move their businesses from offline or brick and mortar to online.
Systems are more important than skills as an entrepreneur today.
It's totally okay to reinvent yourself multiple times, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. If you're a coach, speaker, or industry expert, you're in the right place for sales and marketing wisdom and insight to grow your coaching business. Now, here's your host, Income Acceleration Mentor, WendyY Bailey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special live stream. I'm doing dual duty today. I'm doing a live stream that's getting the Profitable Coaching Conversation show with WendyY Bailey back on track. And I'm also doing part of my April to May Spring Fling today. And what I'm doing is I'm presenting content to you live, and it's part of a big giveaway that I planned and have executed through the months of April and then into May. We've got just a couple more days left, and I'm giving away, still giving away really, really great content. But I wanted to make sure that I came on here and did both duties, right? Welcome to the Profitable Coaching Conversation show with WendyY Bailey. I am indeed WendyY Bailey. And today I'm going to be talking about how to, where is my title? How to create and design and sell high ticket coaching programs. Yeah, I got to remember. If you're joining me, I'm on live stream with LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook in my private Facebook community. And I'm also on YouTube for the Profitable Coaching Conversation show. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and grant StreamYard permission to make comments. So, I'm going to be checking the comment section to see what you guys are saying. And if you have questions or feedback, I definitely want to make sure I respond to that. I'm WendyY Bailey, as I said before. I'm a soon-to-be 20-year veteran master business and sales coach. Can I just tell you, it just feels so good to be able to say in just a few short weeks, it will be 20 years that I've been in my business full-time as a coach and as an entrepreneur. The road has not always been easy, but I got to tell you, I'm so grateful to be able to say I'm still here. Right? It's almost 20 years. On the 2nd of June, it'll be officially 20 years. And I'm going to be rolling out quite a bunch of stuff between now and the end of the year. But it's all in celebration of my 20th anniversary in business as a coach. Yeah, the thing that I love about what I do is I get to meet people from all over the world, not just the country, not just the state, but all over the world. People who are in what I call the transformation space. So coaches and strategists and mentors and advocates and consultants. You may call yourself an activator. Whatever you call yourself, if you're in the business of helping people and change their lives, their workplace, their businesses, their health, their relationships, then you are indeed in the transformation space. I want to make sure I say that because so much of what I'm going to be talking about today really does connect to the kind of transformation you're creating. And at the end of this, I'm also going to give you a link where you can get more information about an upcoming masterclass that I have. Actually, rather than give you the link, I'm going to say to you, I've got an upcoming masterclass. And if you're interested, send me a message or post it in the comments and I'll, share the link when it's ready. My team is still working on the sales page. It's not ready yet. But here I want to talk to you today about how to create and sell high ticket coaching programs. Well, the reality is in 20 years, if you can imagine, I've created a lot of coaching programs. Not all of them have been high ticket. High ticket coaching or high ticket enrollment is a strategy that you really have to be very clear on, very specific on. You can't do the same things that you would normally do to sell a $200 or $300 coaching program or coaching opportunity. You've got to be very intentional. You've got to be very strategic. And so, today is really about helping you to start to think of what you do and how you want to insert begin to build high ticket coaching programs in your business as well. So the first question I want to answer for you is, what qualifies as high ticket? Okay. What qualifies as high ticket? Just very quickly, very clearly, very simply, when you have a coaching program, it can be one-on-one, it can be group, and it's more than $3,000. It's greater than $3,000. You have a high ticket coaching program. Now, let me just say, this is the WendyY definition of high ticket. Okay. Because when I say $3,000, it also means there's high value associated with the high ticket program. So it's not just putting a price tag on something and saying, oh, it's high ticket. You've got to make sure that you are thinking about considering the value of that program. And there are a lot of elements around value that, I go into in many places and spaces with my clients. And, I'm not going to talk as much about value today, but I am going to touch on it because those elements are really, really important. So that's how I define high ticket. High ticket is over $3,000 for a coaching program service product, and it is high value. That means there's a lot that your clients are going to get out of the program, right? If you're here and you just joined me, be sure that you post in the comments to let me know that you're here, that you joined me. If you're catching me on the replay, go ahead and type #replay in the comments so that I know you were tuned in to what I'm talking about today. So that's what qualifies as high ticket. So the thing that I want you to understand about how to design your high ticket coaching program, you got to focus on, three key elements as I'm going to give them, three key elements. First of all, you've got to focus and be clear of who your ideal client is. If you've been around me for any length of time, if you've tuned into any of my live streams, I understand when you are building a high ticket coaching program, when you're designing something with tremendous value, it's got to start with the who, right? You've got to know who you want to serve in that program. You've got to know your ideal client. And there are nuances to that. The thing that I see too many people doing in the marketplace is they design programs in a vacuum, right? They design a program for what they view as the masses. And designing your product or program for the masses rarely works successfully. Okay. You've got to have such clarity about who your ideal client is. You understand what nuances you want to create, what opportunities you want to create to connect to your ideal client through the exercises, the content, the concepts that you share in that program. So it's important that you design your program for one ideal client. Okay. And let me say this about ideal client. I want you, if you're sitting back and going, well, I don't know if I want to get that granular, WendyY. Well, what I want to tell you is think about when you are choosing a doctor. And these days, even though we have a primary care physician and insurance asks us to do that, they refer us to specialists when there's a specialization, when there's something specific that's going on with our health that they want us to take a look at. Think of yourself, if you're a coach, mentor, strategist, advocate, activist, and consultant, if you're any one of those or any other name that really, defines you as a transformation expert, what I want you to do is think of yourself as a specialist. So when you think of yourself as a specialist, that means that you serve a particular segment of the marketplace. You serve a particular ideal client. So the clarity you have about your ideal client becomes really, really important. And that leads to the second thing I want to share. When you are designing your high ticket program, you've got to make sure that you are solution focused. When your primary care physician sends you to a specialist, they're sending you to a specialist because you've got a very specific problem. And they know with your area of specialization, that specialist area of specialization, you're going to get some direct, very clear, very targeted support. In the same way, when you understand the problem your ideal client is facing, you can create a comprehensive solution in your program that addresses that problem. That's the beauty of being a specialist. That's what you are as a coach. You specialize in serving your ideal client specifically, that ideal client specifically. The third thing I want to talk about is what I mentioned before. You know, one of the things that happens when you are building your program and you want it to be high value, high ticket, there's a Chinese proverb that I use all the time. It says, I see, I remember, I hear, I forget, I do, I understand. So think of how you're building your program. Your program is designed to immerse your ideal client into the concepts that you're teaching. Your program is designed to give your ideal clients in the program an opportunity to apply what you're learning, to bask and bathe in the experience, because you want them to understand. You want it to create transformation, and that's how you do it. Well, WendyY, how do you, create transformation opportunities in your content? Well, you ask yourself very clearly, what's it going to take for me to deliver the kind of transformation my ideal client is seeking, right? So if you've got a concept that you want your ideal client to really, really understand and apply in their lives, workplace, business, whatever, what you do is you ask yourself, what kind of exercise will help my clients to live this in real time? What kind of strategy do I need to make sure they learn and apply that will help them to really adopt this strategy? You're asking yourself, how do I get my clients to do what I'm asking them, to experience what I'm telling them, to bathe in the concepts so that they walk away having created lasting change? That's how you build the transformation into your program. Then, as I said, the third one is really designing your program to deliver that transformation. When you can design the program to deliver that transformation, your clients are going to keep coming back to you for similar kinds of opportunities, problems, and they want your support. They need your expertise. They need you to show up in your area of specialization. Okay. So the first part is all about designing your high ticket coaching program. The next question you want to know is, what type of programs, high ticket programs sell? What type of high ticket programs sell? Well, there are three different kinds, and I talk about these all the time. These are not original WendyY concepts, but there are three types: the do-it-yourself, the do it with you or done with you, and the done for you types of services. Do it yourself are just that. They are self-paced client activities that a client can download, walk through. Maybe there's an instruction that you've put into a workbook. Maybe there's an activity guide that, they can work on independently of working with you. Maybe it's a digital download. It's a bundle of a program that you've created that, because you recorded it and recorded the transcripts and have an activity guide, it is still very much self-directed, self-paced for your ideal client. Those are all DIY kinds of programs. It means you don't have to be part of the DIY for the client to absorb the learning. Lead magnets are DIY programs and products, right? Your ethical bribe, your irresistible free offer, your if you have a workbook, like I said, if you have an activity guide, if you conduct a quiz or a questionnaire, all of those things are DIY types of programs, products, or services. The second type, as I mentioned, is done with you. And done with you just means they're with you, you're with them, your ideal client, walking through the concepts that they're learning. So that includes one-on-one coaching or individual coaching or private coaching, whatever you call it. It includes group coaching. It includes masterminds, your signature online course. Some people think that people are just supposed to go through your course and you never have an interaction with them. The reality is, when your course is done right, you want to insert yourself into your online courses. Your signature program is something you deliver, so you want to be present to ensure your ideal client gets those concepts, right? So all of those are done with you kinds of programs. And then done for you programs are all about you doing the work. You take your intellectual property, and based on that, your education, your knowledge, maybe you have an experienced team of professionals that perform a specific kind of task for the ideal client, right? That's a done for you service. That's a done for you product or program. The example I always give is a few years ago, I wrote the curriculum for someone's digital university, their signature program that they wanted to create. They had written a book, and after writing the book, she needed somebody to actually pull out the content and organize the modules and, you know, create the deliverables and all of that kind of stuff. And I did all of that. It was a done for you service. Now, let me say this about the three types of services. The three types of services come with a different price point and range. The DIY does not necessarily mean free, but I will tell you that the done for you is probably at the higher end of the scale in terms of what you want to charge and what you want to set as a fee. Well over 3,000, well over 3,000. So it definitely is a high ticket coaching program. But the type of program that sells more effectively than any type of program is a program that has a hybrid of all three of those. There's some DIY exercises, there's some done with you content delivery, your group coaching, your individual coaching. I love personally adding individual coaching to almost all of my coaching programs, especially if they're group or master classes or something like that. I love to give that personalized touch, because I think when I do that, I'm really lending additional support, coaching, and training to my clients, and I'm vested in their success even more. You don't have to do it, but I do it. Okay. If you want to make those, instead of individual sessions, you want group sessions that's still done with you. That's DIY, done with you. And then the done for you may be part of what you do to create, to pour your intellectual property into creating something for the client. The best selling group programs, the best selling high ticket programs are the ones that are a hybrid of all three of those types. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I wrote this, but then I went back and I changed it, but I didn't change it here. In order to build a high ticket coaching program and sell it effectively, it means you've got to have an authentic launch strategy. It says perfect here, but I believe in authenticity over perfection. Hey, Miss Sharita, good to see you. Hello, hello. I saw you pop up on my phone, even though it's not showing me that it's you on StreamYard. So be sure to give StreamYard permission so I can see your name and know who you are. You know, when I talk about an authentic launch strategy, again, authenticity over perfection, what I'm talking about is what I call build the plane as you fly it. If you've been around me, you know I talk about this strategy all the time. What I'm trying to say to you is don't build your program in a vacuum. Build your program in a way that shows that you know your stuff. It shows that you're connected to the ideal client and her core problem, and you've designed a comprehensive solution for her in your program. Then go and sell it. And once you sell the program, come back and put the meat on the bones, right? Come back and do that. And the reality is, even if you begin the process of really building out your program, some evolution is going to happen. Like you've got to go back and based on questions that come up, based on, situations that are presented to you by your ideal clients who are in your program, you're going to evolve your content. So make it easy on yourself and create like a skeleton outline is what I like to say. Go sell it, write your copy, your sales page, go sell it, then go back and put the meat on the bones based on who you know is going to be in the program. And, this is how I live. This is what I do. This is what works for me. And I've seen it work for my clients. Far be it for me to give you the impression that you need to go out and build a program in a vacuum without knowing if it's going to be feasible to sell it, if you're going to get the kind of enrollments that warrant the kind of work you've got to do to put together a program. I totally believe that whether you put it all together now or you do it later, there's still some evolution that's going to happen. You're going to tweak some things. I launched a new program, but it was content that I pulled out of another program, right? And I launched it last year as a separate entity, right? And when I created it, I had in mind how I had delivered it in the previous program. So I had to kind of unlearn some of the things that I had been doing related to the program when it was part of a bigger program. And when I unlearned it, the first time I delivered it, I was like, okay, I can do this better. Let me see how I can do it better. That's what I mean by evolution, right? When I talk about evolution, I'm talking about really getting in the practice of knowing that you can confidently create something without creating the whole thing. You can confidently and competently sell it. That means you can, enroll people into the program. Then you have the skill to be able to go back and add meat on the bones. I've done programs like that my whole 20-year career, and it works for me. It may not work for you the way that it works for me, but some programs that I delivered, if it was the first time I delivered it, I was literally building the content every week. If it was a 6-week program, when we got to week 1, I had week 1 ready. I might have started on week 2, but when we got to week 1, I already was working on week 2, week 3, week 4, as the content was being delivered. Okay. It's okay. It sounds scary, but I promise you, the build a plane as you fly it works. Because what happens is when you go sell it, you can create the depth of rich content as you deliver and evolve the content. Yeah, it's more of you being a specialist, right? It's more of you really showing your chops around your expertise. It builds your confidence too. It really, really does. And the reason I talk about launching your program, launch just means simply introducing your program to the marketplace, right? And so when I talk about launching your program authentically, I mean, every strategy that you may see somebody else use may not work for you. You've got to use a strategy that is meaningful for you, that is effective for you, based on your launch style, based on what works for you and how you show up in the marketplace. I have a colleague, and she fills her programs just by making sending a couple of emails and making a couple of phone calls. I don't know that strategy would work for me. So why would I use it, right? You've got to use the strategy that allows you to introduce your program to the marketplace, to the right ideal clients, in a way that represents who you are, what your personality is. Okay. So that's about the authentic and perfect launch strategy. The next thing I want you to know is, actually that says that's the same thing I just did. Sorry. And so, now I want to move into how do you sell your program. And I've got 10 things that I'm going to give you. It's a long list, but let me just tell you that the long list will help you gain clarity. This has all been a preview of an upcoming webinar that I'm doing for a program that I'm going to be launching. It's a brand new program, new content, new concepts. I'm really, really excited about it. So when I give you these 10 things, I want you to know that I'm going to be digging deep in the webinar and in the program for you to get what you need here. The first thing I want to tell you is to set goals, smart goals and benchmarks that support you, right? When I talk about goals, smart goals, they're specific, they're attainable, they're realistic, and they're time bound. SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. I knew I had left out a letter. So that's a SMART goal. And then benchmarks are really sort of gates as you reach those, milestones as you're moving toward those in your enrollment goals, right? Your SMART enrollment goals. The next thing I want you to do is to give yourself time to reach your goals. So you can't decide you're going to launch a program today and it's going to start next week and think you're going to fill it, think you're going to meet your goals. It doesn't work that way. You got to consider everything going on in your business, everything about the marketplace, what your social media footprint is, what your list is doing in terms of responsiveness. Notice I didn't say size, but you've got to consider all of those factors in order to give yourself the right amount of time to reach your goals, and you can adjust and pivot as you need to along the way. Number three is to engage with your ideal clients on the right platforms. If you're trying to be busy and seen everywhere, you're probably doing a little too much, right? So when I talk about the right platforms, know where your ideal client is hanging out. Know where he or she is going to absorb content. Maybe it's YouTube. So, maybe you focus your launch strategy on being visible on YouTube. Maybe she's on Instagram. So you focus your launch strategy on Instagram, but it's got to be on the right platforms. It can't be on every platform without any sense of where your ideal client is. Okay. Number three, engage with your ideal clients on the right platforms. I just said that. Number four, use the language of transformation. I said it before. Transformation is about creating lasting change. And after you've been in coaching for a while, what happens is those sound bites that your ideal client uses to let you know that she is your ideal client. She lets you know what kind of transformation you helped her to achieve, right? So those sound bites in the language of your ideal client become really, really crucial when it comes to selling your program. Testimonials, right? Video testimonials, written testimonials, audio testimonials, whatever they are, when an ideal client says something about you and it gives you the soundbite of transformation, you need to start practicing the soundbite of transformation. You need to start using that in your marketing and promotions to sell your high ticket program. Number five, communicate the desired outcome. That's desired outcome, transformation, desired result, a specific result. All of that really does speak to what your ideal client wants from your program. So being in a situation where your most ideal client is kind of going, do I really want to do this program? You need to be able to convey to your ideal client, at the end of this program, once you've gone through the program, this is what's going to happen. That's the specific result. That's the desired outcome. That's the transformation your ideal client is seeking. So you need to communicate in that language. Number six, you need to sell the value. People aren't buying widgets. That's what I call them. But, people aren't looking and saying, oh, she's got a workbook that's 30 pages, or, oh, he's got a video that is, 15 minutes, or, oh, there are 2 sessions for 45. They're not looking at that. They want to know the value of being in your program. And the value very clearly is you're moving them from a place where they're dealing with the pain of their problem, where their circumstances and situations and symptoms that are showing up in their world because of the problem. They want to know that you're going to relieve the pain. You're going to alleviate the problem, the pain that's caused by the problem. You're going to help them solve the problem. And that is really selling the value, right? People don't care necessarily how you're going to do it as much as, with the workbooks or the sessions, they don't care as much about that. Some people look at that and it concerns them. But if you're able to convey the value is the transformation, the value is the desired outcome, the value is the specific result. When you're able to convey that value, and value is also about how you show up to deliver the transformation, right? How you show up. Your clients, your ideal clients in your program are really looking at you and looking to you for guidance, for direction, for leadership, for coaching, for accountability. All of that really comes through when you are designing your program and you're confident, you're authentic, and your knowledge is clear on how you can serve the ideal client. That's another reason for being a specialist rather than a generalist. When you're a specialist, then your area of specialization runs deep and wide, and it's revealed in how you show up in the marketplace with your clients, right? When you show up and your experience and your expertise is deep and wide, what happens is people see you. You become a client attraction magnet, especially for your high ticket clients who want to invest at a higher level to get a desired result that they want. Number 7, sell the transformation. Number 6 and 7 are like cousins, but the transformation is recognizing what the ideal client is really looking for in the way of lasting change and communicating how you're going to get them there. Doesn't talk about, certain kinds of exercises necessarily. From your perspective, selling the transformation means that you understand how to convey, how to communicate that result, how to communicate what that ideal client is really, really seeking. And you're able to, and I don't want to use the word convince because convincing is not what you're doing. You're able to look at where your ideal client is, shape your content to individually impact that client. That measurable impact has a language to it that represents the transformation your ideal client is seeking. Be able to share that and sell that transformation. Number 8, this is for you. Set the fee based on measurable impact. People are better than they were when they came to you. That's a measurable impact. How are they better? Start asking those questions. What makes them better now than when they were before they came to you? What did they learn that made the difference for them? What did they discover in your program that helped them make a shift? How did what you taught them and what you coached them around change the trajectory of their life, their business, their workplace, their health, their wellness, their relationships, right? All of those things are really about you understanding the measurable impact of your high ticket coaching program. Language, and I said it before, but I say it very specifically here. Stop selling widgets. Stop selling widgets. You design a program that's comprehensive. It's not about, this little thing or that little thing. And when I say this little thing, I mean, it's not about the 2 sessions. It's not about the 5 weeks. It's not about the 30-page workbook. It's not about that. Those are widgets, right? When you sell the comprehensive solution, you're selling the value of why those sessions are important, why the workbook is important, the activity guide is important. You're selling why they need the whole program, right? You're selling that. You're not selling widgets. So stop selling them. And then price the program. Number 10, price the program based on value. Price the program based on value. I talked about value before, but when you understand the value, and I go through a lot of this in my pricing masterclass, but when you understand the value, what you've poured into it, what goes into it, then setting a high ticket fee for a high value program really does become easy. You don't have to worry about whether you're giving the value because you've created it to be high value, right? And the price you set reflects the high value, totally reflects the high value. Because, how many times have you run into someone or approached someone about a product that you were selling and, or they were selling and they gave you a lowball price, right? When they gave you that lowball price, it became very, very clear to you that, that sounds too good to be true. That's kind of how pricing based on value for your high ticket coaching program works too. If you price your program too low, your ideal clients are going to be looking and saying, why, what's the catch, right? Why is it so low? Your price needs to reflect the comprehensive value that you're pouring into the program. That's going to really deliver like amazing results for the ideal client you're serving. Yeah, so that's the content I wanted to share today. I am going to be offering a webinar about high ticket enrollment. If you're interested in it, leave me an indication, say yes, me in the comments. And once it's ready, I'll share the link with you so you can go and get the information. This has been, let's see, let me make sure I get my banners together. This has been the Profitable Coaching Conversation with WendyY Bailey. And I'm excited that I have been here to support you and share with you this content about secrets to high ticket programs that sell. There's more coming about this, but if you're catching the replay, type hashtag replay in the comments. If you want to know more about the upcoming webinar, say yes, I do, or me, whatever you want to say in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, watching the replay, watching live this episode, this bonus episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show. It's also been me doing double duty, where I have done the April to May spring fling, and this is one of the content resources that I know is about to help people. Thank you so much, Sharita. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you for another one. Okay, thanks. I'll share it with you, Shani. Great. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. Be sure to join us at the after party at www.profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you next time for more sales and marketing wisdom and insight from WendyY and her amazing guests. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new episodes are posted.
When you do nothing, nothing happens. Best time to take action is now. This is the time to work on you and your business. So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.